Lovin. Lovin.
We've got Ujwal typing furiously to check that for me on the sound front. Who plays Steal a Brain Rot? I don't understand what that is, but I appreciate the no sound comments. Thanks for the comments, guys. We're going to get working on them. I'll also open up our other platforms. We're also live on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and we can just check the sounds there as well. But I will wait for the thumbs up from my main man Ujwal before we go ahead with the stories, because we want to make sure that everyone watching can hear the entire show. Okay, YouTube sounds good. Oh, I'm back on. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. So yeah, if you missed the start of the show, my name is Casey. I usually do the Lovin Dubai show, but we're going to do the Dubai show. We're going to do the Abu Dhabi show today, and our top stories are UAE marks 50 years of armed forces unification with tribute to service and national pride. We're talking about the UN. They have expressed concern after reported missile and drone attacks by Iran on the UAE. And then we have a really sweet story about an Abu Dhabi mom who shared messages of strength and unity, and it makes you think about what is like the great things that you've seen people do, the kind gestures that you've seen people do in the community. So we're going to jump into a little bit of that later, as well as meeting the winner of the Shori.com campaign, where we gave a Mercedes to a dog, and it was all thanks to Shori.com. Our top story today, UAE marks 50 years of armed forces unification with tribute to its service, and also, of course, it's a day that is heavy on national pride. But what day is not heavy on national pride here in the UAE? So the UAE is now celebrating 50 years of unification of its armed forces. This is a milestone that marks 5 decades of strength, unity, and a shared purpose under one command since 1976. Over the years, this unification has helped strengthen coordination, boost capabilities, and support the country's security and stability, which was no more seen than recently, since February 28th, since we saw the incredible armed forces and what they have done to protect the country. So this year, more than ever, we are so thankful and grateful for the armed forces. And on this occasion, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed thanked the armed forces for their dedication and sacrifice in protecting the nation and its people, calling their service a source of pride for everyone in the UAE. This is definitely a moment to reflect on how far the nation has come, and also to recognise those who continue to stand guard over its future. And it really is the time to recognise and to say thank you. We're in a fragile ceasefire at the moment, but since February 28th, I think we must recognise and say thank you to the armed forces. Let's not forget that we were in the middle of the holy month of Ramadan as that happened. And if you thought you weren't sleeping at night. If work was tough, we had these armed forces protecting us night and day, keeping us safe as we saw a barrage of blatant aggression from Iran, more so than any other country, and these were the forces to protect us. So we talk about unity on social media, but if you want to thank the armed forces, if you jump onto any platform on social media, you can just make your voice heard. You can tag them in our Lovin Abu Dhabi posts. You could also just go onto the Ministry of Defence UAE and just say your thank yous there, because how often do we actually have the opportunity to acknowledge the amazing armed forces here in the UAE? And today is that day. So if you want to make your voice heard, if you want to say your thanks heard, use your social media voice to do it. Let's move in to our next story. We're talking about the United Nations. They have expressed concerns over the reported missile and drone attacks by Iran on the UAE, and this was on Monday, an incident that left at least 3 people injured and caused a fire at an oil faculty in Fujairah. So speaking yesterday, the UN spokesperson Stephanie Dujarric also highlighted recent strikes on vessels near the Strait of Hormuz. He warned that tensions in the region are rising. Dujarric called on all sides to exercise restraint. He urged them to avoid any actions that could lead to further escalation. He also stressed that peaceful solutions are the only way forward. Hear, hear. He said these effects and efforts should follow international law at the UN Charter. And we have seen many countries echo this sentiment. It was pretty inspiring to see at least 20 to 30 countries since Monday. And if you're watching from abroad, hello, but if you're watching from the UAE, you'll know that we had 19 missile threats on Monday, which meant number of sirens on our phones. And it was the first sirens that we had really received since the ceasefire was announced from Iran and the US. Now, the countries that have come in to condemn these attacks, I'll just name a few: Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, GCC, Arab League. So countries and also organizations and bodies: Serbia, Germany, KSA, UK, Montenegro, France. A whole host of countries has gotten together to share their consternation with these missile threats. And so we really do hope it was a blip. This happened on Monday. Tuesday, there was no major warnings. There was one alert at 6:14, I think, p.m., and that's believed to be an alert in Fujairah, but there was no major missile attacks yesterday as a whole across the country. And I do wonder, if you're watching the show, if you have any tips for me on staying calm during a fast-moving news cycle. And I think we've all had a lot of learnings since February 28. And I would love to hear your approach on how you stay calm. And if you're listening to the podcast, I'll give you mine, for example. So at the very beginning, it was so entrenched in us to check every single update. And my issue was I was looking at international media alerts and trying to understand everything that was happening from the US and from Iran and from media outlets in Qatar. And if you actually pare back everything that you're consuming and stick with local sources here in the UAE, I think you'll find it's a much easier and much calmer news cycle to be able to understand everything. And so my tip for staying calm during a fast news cycle is avoiding any kind of outward influence. When they're talking about the UAE, the real information is directly here in the UAE. I follow local news sources. I try and avoid everything from outside because it confuses me. I know what's happening on the ground here. I feel protected here. I feel safe here. But as soon as I allow outward influences in, then it becomes a scarier place. And so the news cycles are so quick moving. I think it's just easier to stick close to home when you're looking for your news updates. And that's not meant to be a shout out for Lovin Abu Dhabi, by the way. It sounds like it is, but what I really do mean is local sources. We get all our information directly from UAE government channels. Ministry of Defence are amazing. The WAM, which is the government, WAM, it's the government news channel. They're also amazing. So many updates there. Also NCEMA, which is the National Crisis Centre for Emergencies. They also have very quick news cycles, and also, of course, Lovin Abu Dhabi. The Abu Dhabi Media Office and the Dubai Media Office are also very quick to share the relevant stories with the audience. So check there for all of your local news. Let's jump in to our next story. We're talking about an Abu Dhabi mom, and she has shared a message of strength and unity. And what a day for us, since we're talking so much about unity and resilience. So this is an Abu Dhabi-based blogger. She's the mother of two. Her name is Laura Pandit. And what she has said is resonating with many across the UAE after sharing a heartfelt reflection during this time of uncertainty. So in the message that she shared, which was widely shared by you guys, she described a moment that when things shift, acknowledging the fear and heaviness many families feel when routines are disrupted and challenges resurface. So potentially when schools kind of have to go remote learning again, these challenges resurface as things shift. But she focused on what defines those moments and then the strength and the unity that follow. She highlighted the calm response across the country, the focus on safety, and the way communities come together to support one another. Her message has struck a powerful tone, reminding people that the UAE has faced difficult times before, and we have emerged stronger. We're not starting from zero, she said, adding that while fear may come first, trust in the UAE will always stand stronger. And it's so true. What happened can be scary, but actually trusting the country and where we are will inspire us to stand stronger and be able to cope with whatever comes our way. And I wonder, I love this comment, Abu Dhabi is the best and safe place. I think the UAE is the best and safe place, but I do live in Dubai, so we can have that argument if you want. Is there any kind of nice acts of kindness or moments that you've seen that have restored your faith in people? Because I love the types of stories when someone goes out and shares something and it resonates, and because it's a social media story, you may not have heard that story otherwise. And so sometimes these stories give us a little bit of a, we were talking earlier about it today on another show, give you a little bit of a social media hug. So if you're feeling uncomfortable or maybe you're feeling isolated, sometimes you see these stories and they strike a chord. And this one definitely struck a chord because she's basically saying that, yes, there's fear, but also that makes us stand stronger in the end. And I think I have to absolutely agree. I am Lena Feskova, your usual Abu Dhabi host. She says, the UAE is so strong. Yes, and I think anyone who's stayed here throughout will fully resonate with that. And you have to be here to know. And I really do think that when we look abroad and people question and say, how are you managing there? You've got to be here to really see how the leaders have operated, the impeccable coordination from armed forces, the impeccable communication from all of the channels to keep us up to date, to reduce that fear factor, despite, as we said, was a difficult time. But I'll leave it there. That is it for Lovin Abu Dhabi show, but that does not mean it's it for the full show, because we're going to jump into Lovin Meets. Lovin Meets got to sit down with the dog who won a Mercedes and also the amazing owner of the dog, Andrea. We also spoke to Marwan Mubaid from Shori.com, talk all about this big campaign. He's going to be with us after this very short break. Do stay tuned. Welcome to Lovin Meets. The energy in the studio today is through the roof. The Every Pet Has a Shori campaign was a whirlwind of community, love and hearts. And after hundreds of incredible entries, we finally have our champions in the building this morning. But first, please welcome Marwan Mubaid, who's the Senior Client Partner at Shori.com, who's going to take us through the details that really helped bring this huge campaign and vision to life. Welcome to the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Casey.
Absolutely. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's talk insurance. Not everyone's favourite topic.
Correct.
So how do you make it into something that people want to talk about?
In terms of insurance itself as a concept, people do look for it whenever something goes wrong. Whenever you're in the hospital, you got a flooded apartment, you got into a car accident, and go like, oh, thank God I have insurance at that point. And really, this is what we try to change the mindset about, is to think about those events before they occur, because it is possible that it occurs with people. So we want people to be ready for those stuff and when they happen, they are with the right insurer and the right insurance broker as well.